hat. So I am here. Anyway, howdy guys. Jimmy Song here, off chain. I have no idea if anyone is actually watching this right now, but that's okay. It's okay if you guys aren't watching because you guys, I'll have this up later, and that's okay. Anyway, this is like day two at Satoshi, or day three, day two. Yeah, we had the initial day, and we had like a bunch of seminars yesterday, or like it's an unconference format. Talk more about that in a sec. But yeah, I'm here in Cancun, Mexico. Yeah, I have to say, like, this is one of the nicest conferences that I've ever been to. Just like, the hotel, like the whole all-inclusive resort is just kind of like palatial. It's there's just like rooms everywhere, and they're just gigantic. I mean, look at this room. It's just like, it's maybe a little bit difficult to tell, but it's really, really big. A lot of people here. We met all yesterday. Yeah, and I've never gone to a conference with something called an unconference format, but more or less, the attendees sort of decide what sort of topics that they want to talk about. So I've been going to a lot of different meetups, I guess. I mostly hung out with developers yesterday. I don't know if those people want their names mentioned, so I'll refrain. But Brian Bishop was there, and he's clearly okay with it because he told me to go tweet what I tweeted yesterday, which is that he's typing up a lot of this stuff. Yeah, it's been an interesting. It was definitely an interesting day yesterday. Obviously, like, there was like a price pump, there was like the SEC thing, and a lot of people actually were in their hotel rooms watching the SEC, and it was interesting. I didn't expect that news in particular to sort of cause the pump. Then again, maybe it didn't. It was just sort of like the market wanted to reverse anyway, and it was sort of like a nice time to do it. I don't know. You'd have to ask Tone about the actual timing and whether or not it went with his like indicators and what that means and all that stuff. I want to talk today about just sort of this volatility, and I don't see this volatility going away anytime soon. And that's why I titled my video like "Growing Through," this volatility and stuff. I talked a little bit yesterday about just sort of handling your emotions and figuring out, what you need to do as a person, and just figuring out, how to handle some of the emotions that are coming through, and that happens both on the downs and the ups, right? And it helps a lot if you can think about what it is that got you there in the first place, right? The investment thesis that you had at the beginning. If you believe Bitcoin to be the ultimate sound money, then it is clearly going to be better than gold. And if you believe that other people are also going to have that same evaluation of Bitcoin eventually, then it's a no-brainer to invest in Bitcoin and just sort of hold it long term. What that brings, though, is this sort of price volatility and emotional volatility that sort of comes with it. A lot of people are very down when the price is down. A lot of people are very up when the price is up. And I told you yesterday, part of the challenge is sort of managing your emotions around that. And that can be very difficult, frankly. But I want to tell you that it helps you grow as a person, because growth as a person happens on the edges. If you stay too comfortable, what happens is that your world kind of gets smaller, right? Because you only do things that make you comfortable. And at least for me, the biggest sources of growth happen when I'm very uncomfortable. And this volatility is probably making you pretty uncomfortable, especially if you haven't been through it before. And I want you to sort of look at that as a sort of a way to grow yourself emotionally, to be able to handle all of this, up and down and stuff. Some people can't, and they end up selling. Maybe they sold at the bottom, maybe they bought at the top because they're too, beholden to their emotions. And anyone that has been in this industry for a while will tell you, if you go too much with your emotions, you're probably going to lose a lot of money. Not just in Bitcoin, but in almost any investment that you end up doing. So it's very important that you learn how to manage it. And this is sort of a way to grow, is by taking the time to figure out how to manage your emotions. I mean, emotions are a great thing. It's not emotional suppression, right? Like it's not just sort of, you know, uh, you know, not feeling anything. It's managing it and sort of using your mind to calm yourself down, more or less, whether or not you're too high or too low. It's very easy to get depressed when prices are low and just sort of panic sell. I don't really care about anything anymore. Have that sort of attitude, or get too high and just think, okay, I'm at the top of the world, and this is awesome, and not like nothing can kill me now. Like being a little too emboldened sometimes. um neither is too good for you, right? And managing that and not just sort of like falling off the edge, is a skill. It's a life skill, and it's something that, as an investor, as somebody that's sort of holding on to this stuff, that's what you sort of have to learn how to do. It's just a good life rule in general, and I hope, that's something that you guys learn through this volatility, because in many ways this can be a very good thing, because when the lessons you learn in sort of managing your emotions now are applicable not just to other ups and downs in crypto, um, but in other aspects of your life as well. It's easy to be too high and think that things will last forever whenever things are going great. I wrote a tweet like, I don't know, like 9 months ago. I think the thing I said was, "Hey guys, just remember, enjoy this, because these times don't come around very often." And interestingly enough, when things are too high, a lot of people sort of get way too anxious, right? Which is kind of an odd reaction, but it makes sense, because they're afraid. Okay, well, now it might go down, or they're always sort of fearing the next thing. Some amount of that is healthy, but another part of that is there's this tendency to not sort of enjoy what it is that we're going through. And what we've seen, by almost any measure, is the adoption of Bitcoin in the last year. That's sort of almost unprecedented. We haven't had a bull market go this long. Um, and the fact that we've dropped a little bit, and 60% is actually a little bit, right? Like we've gone down as much as 95 before. Um, that's a time when you can grow. And I seriously mean that. Like it's a way for you to manage yourself. It's a time when you can learn. And anyone will tell you, just in anything, right? Like growth happens on the edges, and that's why it's called the growth edge. Where you're sort of uncomfortable is where you grow the most. And this is why, like, when I do my seminars and stuff, I like give my students a fire hose of information, because I want them to be a little uncomfortable. If they're too comfortable, you're actually not growing. You're actually not learning as much. If you're and there's a balance, right? You want to be sort of like teetering at the edge of your comfort zone, so that you grow your comfort zone. um, and if you're only staying in your comfort zone, your world's going to get smaller and smaller, and you're not going to grow as a person. I mean, you're going to shrink as a person. You're literally shrinking, in your worldview and everything else. If you, as you sort of go on the edges and try things that are uncomfortable and learn, that's how you become a better person, I think. And I don't know. I don't know if people will be disagreeing with this or how controversial this will be. This is probably not my typical video. I usually talk about Bitcoin, and I am, but this is a lot bigger than that, right? Like there's a growth that comes from discomfort that is very, very healthy. And not only are we as a community going through it, but Bitcoin is going through it. And really, Bitcoin is you guys, right? Like there's a lot of people that came into the community in the last year. And frankly, a lot of those people have sold. And that's not the community. The community are the people that have held, that are contributing, that care about all of the things that are going into it, all the using it to better civilization. And I think that's most of you, the people that are watching, that pay attention and continually sort of protect Bitcoin against governance attacks and things like that. So I see this as a good thing for the community, as an anti-fragile thing for the community, because all of you that have gone through this, you're growing a little bit, right? And when I say Bitcoin is growing, it's actually all the people that are holding, that are taking part. We're the ones growing. We're the ones growing, and that's a very good thing. Anyway, I would take questions, but I have to get going. I think there's a meeting in 15 minutes. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and this song is done.